I'm pretty upset with myself right now because I was deep into filming this video and accidentally at some point hit the fucking stop button. Man, I was talking to my goddamn self, which sucks. I was on a roll there. All right, so you notice I have two heads here, right? I have the RBB and the PRB, and this is looking kind of rough right now because I haven't cleaned it all the way. I only cleaned the top, but this will look like this when this is finished. On a side note. So anyway, now I was hoping that I could find another way to mix and match OEM parts to maybe milk out some more power, because it's kind of obvious looking at these valves, these intake valves, that they're different. They're very I think that you can still see it pretty clear on the camera how different they are. Now, the reason why I have the RBB heads in here is because this RBB valve, it protrudes a bit. And I wanted to make sure that it sits the same way in this head as it does in this head, and it does. And while I was initially excited that we were going to be able to mix and match, because obviously these are this dished, those are a little bit more dished or a little less dished, and these are almost completely flat, I thought we were going to get be able to see an obvious jump between OEM parts. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I'm not 100% sure. There's no way for me to be 100% sure. I would need a little bit more precise measuring tools to be able to measure the valve from the bottom side, and I still don't even know what the fuck I can use to do that. But here, let's just talk about what I can see and the reason why I'm not 100% sure if mix and matching these is going to cause any difference in compression, right? Starting from the bottom, right? The RBB, it is very, very much dished. You see a big ass lip on here, and it drops down quite a bit, and it has, it's flat on the inside, but still dished. But the difference is here is even though it's dished pretty well, you can see how much the valve protrudes from the head. It's quite a bit. Then you go up, and this one is not as dished as the RBB, but you can also see that it protrudes a little bit from the head. And then you go up to the last one, which is nearly completely flat, but also sits perfectly flush in the seat. Now, we know that, of course, the compression is changed by the amount of volume of it or in the space inside the chamber. So even though these are dished, because of the fact that the valve kind of pushes out a little bit further, I'm not 100% sure if there's really going to be any difference, right? Because it seems to me that with this lip here, that the valve pushed out a little bit further into the chamber, quite noticeably. So even though it's dished down there, it could be that where this flat part of the dish sits is probably on par and on the same level with where this one sits, being the fact that it's recessed into the seat as well as it is, and so on and so forth. So I'm not 100% sure at the end of the day if swapping these valves around are going to net any compression gains. Not 100% sure. And at the end of the day, if you really want to guarantee a bump in compression, you're going to need to go with exhaust valves, or you're going to need to go with the flat face valves. And I think the flat face valves, if you buy the whole set, you're still only netting 0.3 compression to 0.5 compression. That's still sizable, so it's worthwhile. And at $180, I don't think it's a bad investment. $180 for that big of a compression jump is I think is fair. And so that's me talking about the intake valves. I just said I was going to compare all the valves, and here's the exhaust valves, guys. I didn't polish that one because I think it's pretty obvious and clear at this point which ones are what. Each one is from the PRB head, one's from the base model head, and one is from the RBB head. They're all the exhaust valves appear to be the same, as they all appear to be the same size. So even if there is a compression difference, it's only on the intake side. And I think that because even the smallest one is the PRB, and they're not completely flat, they are still slightly dished, not a lot, but slightly. So I still think that even if you were to use PRB valves on a different head, even if it does increase compression, it's not going to be very noticeable. It's going to be very minuscule. Now, it would still be one of those things like where if you have all the parts on hand, like I happen to, then it's not a bad idea to swap them around. if we could guarantee that there was a compression hike. But the problem is there's nobody talks about it. None of the old forums talk about it. I can't find it anywhere on the Googles. Apparently, I'm the only one to give a fuck enough to care about this to even look into it. But from what I can see, I can't guarantee a compression hike just because of the fact, like I said, like the one that has the flattest face intake valve sits further into the head than the other ones do. So even though these are flat, these would protrude. So I think at the end of the day, it's a safe guess to assume that they're all gonna net you right around the same compression because of just how they sit in there. But I could be wrong. Oh shit! And if I'm wrong, then the K20 intake valves are the flattest ones. But again, you're only getting one side of the equation, and we know that if you use completely flat valves for both sides, what the compression hike is. So it's just, I think at the end of the day, it's better if you go with that. I guess the only time that would really matter, it would be something if you wanted to make a big difference on, is if you like bent a valve and you have valves from one and the other. I wouldn't suggest doing a one-off just because you know how different they are. But if you wanted to take a complete set from another head, then swap it over, I don't think it's going to change anything. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not delivering the news I wanted to deliver because I wanted this to be a big compression jump difference or a noticeable difference, but I don't think that it is at the end of the day, and that's that. I thought this was going to be another one of those things where we could argue in the case of why the RBB has less compression than the K20, but at the end of the day, we can just stick with what Monday says, and it's if there is a difference in compression between the valves, I don't think it's enough to notice, and is what it is. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and social media links are in the description down below. This head will be for sale. It looks kind of shitty right now because it hasn't been cleaned. I kind of wanted to use this as my example real quick, but you can see that the head is otherwise minty as fuck. And this isn't going to be sold as a stock rebuild. I'm going to be doing a Super Tech upgrade. I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon because right now it's got to come out of money. Money's got to come out of pockets for the valve train. But if somebody wants to do that, order it ahead of time, hit me up. As far as the stock components, this is one of the heads that came with the dual stock exhaust springs, not the intake, just the stock. But what I'm most likely going to do is I'm most likely going to put the dual springs into a VTEC killer head and have that. And I guess I'll offer it for sale for a short time because right now what I'm planning on doing is I have my own personal block that I'm going to build for my 5-speed turbo swap. And I figure I'm going to go on the most budget-friendly route as possible because I don't plan on keeping that car long. I want to get it running, get the numbers off of it, enjoy it for a little while, and then sell that and use that money to go into the all-wheel drive car. So I've only got a soft horsepower goal of 500 horsepower because I'm going to try and do it on pump. I'm going to do it on pump. I'm not going to try. I know it'll get there. But the planned route is right now is 11.5 compression K20 block and the VTEC killer base model head. And yeah, so when I get that long block done, I might offer it up for sale just in case somebody wants to buy that. But if not, then I will be throwing that into the car, and that'll be my first K-swap that I'm doing in an older chassis that I'm actually going to run. All right, guys, so again, thanks for watching. Social media links in the description down below, and peace.